Picture the moment she walked away. Not angry, not dramatic, calm, certain, like she had already rehearsed the exit in her head 100 times. She looked you in the eye and made it sound reasonable, like the relationship just wasn't right, like she was choosing peace, like she was choosing better. And you felt the shift immediately. The ground under your confidence cracked, your chest went tight, and your mind started doing what most men's minds do when a woman leaves them. You started negotiating. You replayed every conversation. You searched for the mistake. You looked for the one text you should have sent, the one thing you shouldn't have said, the one way you could explain yourself so she'd understand. And somewhere in that spiral, you started thinking the same dangerous thought that destroys men after breakups. If I show her how much she meant to me, she'll come back. That's not love. That's panic. And if you react from panic, you don't make her regret leaving. You confirm that leaving you was the smartest decision she ever made. Because here's what she expects. She expects the predictable male collapse, the long paragraphs, the midnight calls, the emotional speeches, the I can change, the just give me one more chance, the accidental run ins, the social media posts that scream pain while pretending they don't. She expects you to chase, not because she's a villain, because most men do, and because your chase gives her two things women secretly crave after they leave a man: validation that she mattered, proof that she was right. And the second you begin pursuing her, after she rejected you, you hand her both. So if you want the outcome that almost no man gets, the outcome where she eventually feels the weight of what she lost, you need to understand one brutal truth. Regret does not come from your suffering. Regret comes from your replacement. Not replacing her with another woman, replacing her with a version of you she no longer has access to. The version of you who doesn't beg. The version of you who doesn't bargain. The version of you who doesn't need closure. The version of you who keeps building. And that version is the one that makes her question her decision months later when she's calm, alone, and honest. This is not about revenge. It's about leverage. And the only leverage that lasts is self-respect. The mistake that ruins everything in the first 72 hours, most men lose the breakup the moment it happens. Not because she left, because of what he does next. He tries to fix it while she's already done. He thinks her decision is a debate. He thinks it's a misunderstanding. He thinks if he explains his intentions, she'll reverse the verdict. But when a woman decides to leave, she usually isn't deciding in that moment. She's announcing what she decided weeks ago. That means your first job isn't persuasion. Your first job is containment. Contain your impulses. Contain your mouth. Contain your ego. Contain your nervous system. Because every emotional move you make from desperation becomes evidence against you. The more you talk, the smaller you look. The more you plead, the more she feels right. The more you chase, the more she distances. So the first rule is this: when she leaves, the relationship is over immediately. Not emotionally, not philosophically, practically. And that acceptance is where your power starts. Why chasing makes her respect you less. A lot of men don't want to hear this, but it's the foundation of female attraction. Women do not respect what they can have for free. When you chase someone who already rejected you, you're telling her, I'll take you at any price. That sounds romantic to weak men. It sounds pathetic to women. Because a woman doesn't want a man who needs her to choose him. She wants a man who chooses himself first and invites her into his life if she can meet his standards. The chase is not proof of love. It's proof of low standards, and she feels that. Even if she doesn't say it. Even if she acts nice. Even if she says she appreciates it, inside something shuts off. Because now she knows you don't have a spine. A man with a spine doesn't beg to be chosen, he moves. The real no contact rule most men don't follow. Most guys do no contact, like a tactic. They don't call her, but they stalk her. They don't text her, but they watch her stories. They unfollow, then refollow. They post gym selfies, hoping she'll notice. They ask mutual friends what she's doing. They keep her number just in case. That is not no contact. That is addiction management. And women can feel it. Even if she can't see your screen, she knows your energy hasn't moved on. She knows you're hovering. Real no contact is not silence, it's removal. It's the decision that she no longer has access to you. Not your time, not your attention, not your emotional labor, not your curiosity. Because as long as you're still watching her, she's still winning. Your mind is still orbiting her. And you cannot build a stronger life while your brain is still living in her apartment. So the rule is simple and non negotiable. Delete the thread, delete the number, unfollow, block if you have to. Remove every easy route back to weakness, not to punish her, to protect you, because the man you're trying to become cannot be built while you're still feeding the old habit. The public composure principle. There's something men misunderstand about heartbreak. They think showing pain proves depth. They think if she sees how much it hurts, she'll feel guilty and come back. That fantasy gets men destroyed. Women do not come back because you suffer. They come back when they doubt. And your suffering doesn't create doubt, it creates certainty. If she sees you falling apart, you become a burden in her mind, not a loss. Because now she's not thinking, did I make a mistake? She's thinking, I'm glad I got out. A man who collapses without her doesn't look romantic. He looks dependent. So you process your pain privately with your closest male friends, with a therapist, with a journal, with the gym, with long walks, with silence, but in public, you carry yourself like a man, not pretending it doesn't hurt, just refusing to advertise your weakness to the person who walked away. Because your emotional discipline is not for her, it's for you. And ironically, that discipline is what creates the respect you wanted in the first place. Understand how regret actually works. Here's the part most men get wrong. Regret is delayed. Right after a breakup, a woman often feels relief, especially if she initiated it. Relief that the tension is over. Relief that she doesn't have to manage your emotions. Relief that she can breathe. If you chase her during that relief period, you become noise. But later, when the excitement fades, when her distractions run out, when the new attention stops hitting the same, when she's alone with herself, she starts comparing. And comparison is where regret is born. She compares your stability versus the instability of new men, your consistency versus the inconsistency she's now dealing with your presence, versus the emptiness of random attention, your value versus what she thought she could easily replace. But she only compares if you disappear with dignity. If you keep chasing, she never has to compare. Because she never loses you psychologically. She still has you in her pocket. Regret requires absence, not silence. Absence. The only strategy that reliably creates regret men want tricks. They want lines. They want a text that makes her come back. Here's the truth. There is only one reliable strategy. Become unmistakably harder to replace, not in theory, in observable reality. That's how you win this without begging, without games, without humiliation. You do it in 5 areas. 1. Your body becomes evidence. Not because muscles magically bring her back, but because discipline changes your energy. When a man trains, His posture changes, his face changes, his eyes change, his patience changes, his mood stabilizes, his self-respect rises. A woman can tell when a man has momentum. So you train like your life depends on it, because it does. 4 to 6 days a week. Lift, run, fight, whatever fits your style. And tighten the fundamentals: sleep, nutrition, water, routine. Not as a glow up for her, as a rebuild for you. Because the fastest way to exit heartbreak is to re enter your body and stop living only in your head. 2, your work becomes ruthless. Breakups either break a man or sharpen him. Most men lose focus. They underperform. They rot. They scroll. That's why most men never become the man their ex regrets leaving, because they turn pain into weakness instead of fuel. So you go aggressive on your mission, make more money, learn a valuable skill, build something that compounds, increase your competence, create a life you're proud to wake up to. Nothing stabilizes a man like purpose, and nothing makes regret hit like watching the man you left become more valuable after you left. 3, your social life expands instead of collapses. Most guys shrink after a breakup. They isolate, they vanish, they sulk. That makes you look like a man whose entire life was the relationship. And if your whole life disappears when she leaves, she was never joining your world. You were living in hers. So rebuild your circle. Strong men have male friendships. Strong men have community. Strong men are seen, not at clubs, not on dating apps, not trying to look busy. Real social expansion, sports, events, hobbies, classes, business networking, groups. Your life should look full because it is full. 4, your standards become real. This is where most men stay weak. They say they have standards, but the second she reaches out, they fold. They answer immediately. They meet her instantly. They act grateful. They restart the cycle. If she ever comes back, you don't reward her with emotional overflow. You require consistency. You require effort. You require respect. Because the man who takes her back with zero change teaches her that leaving has no cost. But the man who remains calm and selective teaches her that access to him is earned. That is the difference between being the ex she forgets and the ex she remembers. 5, your mind becomes unhooked from her. This is the deepest level, because the real victory isn't her regret. The real victory is your indifference. When you reach the point where you genuinely don't care whether she regrets it, because your life is good either way, you've won. And that's the irony. The moment you stop wanting her validation is the moment you become the kind of man women regret losing. What to do if she reaches out? This is where men blow everything. Because when she finally sends that "hey" text, it hits like dopamine. Your ego wakes up. Your heart starts sprinting. You want to show her you're still there. Don't. If she reaches out, you respond like a man who has a life. Short, calm, no emotion dump. Hope you're well. If she tries to chat casually without accountability, you don't entertain it. You move it to reality or you end it. What did you want to talk about? If she wants to see you, you set a clean plan. I'm free Thursday. If you want to catch up, we can. Then you stop talking. No long conversations. No catching her up on your pain. No rebuilding intimacy through texting. No giving her boyfriend energy for free. Because if she left once, she can leave again. So you make her earn access to you as the new version of you, not the old one who begged. The hard truth men avoid. Sometimes she won't regret it. Sometimes she leaves and never looks back. And that's not failure. That's clarity. Because the goal isn't to trap someone into feeling guilty. The goal is to become a man who doesn't beg for anyone's return. A man who can lose a woman and still be himself. A man who can be hurt and still move. A man who can love and still have standards. That's what turns heartbreak into power. The closing reality: if you want her to regret leaving, stop trying to make her regret leaving. Stop performing pain. Stop performing growth. Stop broadcasting your recovery like a marketing campaign. Just build, silently, aggressively, consistently, and one day, months from now, she will hear about you. Not through your pleading, through your results. And whether she regrets it or not, you'll be too far ahead to care. That's the outcome. That's the win.